Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take the complicated stack of sources, the news reports, the classified research, the first-hand accounts, and transform that noise into compelling, essential knowledge.
Today, our mission is perhaps one of the heaviest and most urgent we've undertaken.
It really is. We are delving into a true crime event that is not only tragic, but I think serves as this chilling, very public declaration of the collision between digital celebrity and organized, brutal violence.
We are focusing on the murder of Valeria Márquez Lopez, a 23-year-old Mexican social media star. And her life and, unfortunately, her death, they really illustrate these profound systemic failures.
Right, at the intersection of fame, gender, and regional security.
Exactly. This deep dive is built entirely around analyzing the specific facts provided by our sources concerning her life, her final moments, and the enormous geopolitical shadow cast by the prime suspects.
Our sources give us a really granular timeline of May 13, 2025. And this wasn't a private hidden crime.
Not at all.
It was an act of violence that thousands of people saw unfold live on screen. So our mission today is threefold. One, to meticulously unpack that shocking timeline.
Two, to analyze the instantaneous global reaction to a death that was broadcast to the world.
And three, and this is the really complicated part, to dissect the profound and conflicting reports regarding the highest levels of organized crime involvement, specifically looking at the accusations coming from outside Mexico versus, well, the official local narrative.
In this deep dive, it really forces you, the listener, to confront a terrifying modern reality.
Yeah.
But the carefully curated, often hyper-positive digital life of an influencer offers absolutely no protection from real-world danger, especially when those dangers are fueled by powerful, lawless entities.
Okay, so let's start right there. At the moment, the digital world violently collided with reality. This is the hook, the image that became instantly and horrifically viral.
You have to picture this.
It's the afternoon of May 13th, 2025. Valeria is sitting in her own business, Blossom the Beauty Lounge, located in Zapopan, Mexico.
And she's perfectly positioned, engaging with the screen, chatting with thousands of her followers who have tuned in for a casual TikTok live stream.
Just a normal day creating content.
Completely. The scene is overwhelmingly mundane, almost deliberately aspirational, I'd say.
What do you mean by that?
Well, she's holding two specific items that our sources highlight, and they perfectly encapsulate this modern, almost westernized aesthetic she cultivated.
Right, the stuffed pig in the Starbucks.
Exactly. A small, cute, pink stuffed pig toy, likely a gift from a fan or just a prop. And a Starbucks coffee bag. She's sharing, she's connecting. She's performing the labor of a modern content creator.
It is the absolute definition of casual, everyday content. But she is completely unknowingly at the epicenter of her own tragedy.
She's relaxed, talking about beauty, maybe her day, sharing that moment of self-care that was so central to her brand.
Her salon's motto even reflected that.
Yes, and that juxtaposition is so critical to why this case resonated globally. The pink pig, the Starbucks logo, these are, universal symbols of consumer comfort and digital youth.
They represent a kind of safety. A distance she was trying to establish from the region's notorious violence.
But that completely normal, curated moment is just violently, irreversibly interrupted. The sources all confirm the sequence of events.
A doorbell rings.
There's a very brief verbal exchange.
And then just rapid, fatal shots are fired, and she collapses immediately.
The speed is terrifying. It just eliminates the filter, the distance we usually have from these things.
Right. This wasn't some shaky video recorded by a witness after the fact.
No. This was the crime broadcast globally, raw, and totally unfiltered. Thousands of people didn't just hear about this horror later on the news. They were involuntary, unwilling witnesses to the final brutal seconds of her life.
And that fact alone, it sets a deeply disturbing new benchmark for high-profile crime.
It really does.
So let's unpack who Valeria Márquez was. Because before this tragedy struck, her story was really one of relentless hustle, of determination, and honestly profound entrepreneurial success.
We have to understand the influence she wielded and the visibility she attracted to get the full picture.
Her life story is like a classic example of modern, digitally fueled ambition.
It is. Her full name was Valeria Márquez Lopez. She was born on February 14th, 2002 in Guadalajara, Jalisco.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and she was only 23 years old at the time of her death, which just underscores how incredibly quickly she built her empire.
And she didn't just appear out of nowhere. She used traditional stepping stones to launch that digital career. Her rise to fame, it really kicked off in 2021.
That's when she won the local Miss Rostro beauty contest.
And we should be clear, that wasn't just a beauty pageant in the old-fashioned sense. It was a strategically executed move. It instantly granted her a kind of regional celebrity status.
Exactly. That win was a direct launch pad for her modeling career, giving her the public profile she needed in Western Mexico. And she was incredibly adept at converting that initial visibility into measurable, lucrative brand collaborations.
Our sources even mention specific partnerships.
They do. They detail her work with Golden Lux jewelry and beauty body-level shapewear. So this isn't just modeling. This is calculated influence marketing. She knew her worth.
And her content focus was entirely consistent, which is key for maintaining brand integrity. It was all beauty, lifestyle, makeup, and fashion.
And it resonated profoundly with young, aspirational audiences in her region. We aren't talking about marginal online fame here.
Not at all. Her digital reach really confirms the depth of that influence. At the time of her death, she commanded over 113,000 followers on TikTok.
Which is a massive, highly engaged, and very valuable audience for any advertiser.
And on Instagram, her following was also really robust. It was somewhere between 70 and 100,000 followers.
But critically, it's not just about the follower count. Her videos consistently racked up hundreds of thousands of views overall, far beyond just her followers.
So she was a true regional celebrity.
Yes, and that means she had eyes on her not just from fans, but from everyone, including, as it turns out, those who operated far outside the law.
What I find particularly compelling, though, and what makes her eventual fate so heartbreaking, is her transition from being simply an influencer to becoming a true business owner.
That is such a crucial point.
She wasn't content to just model products. She used her digital capital to invest in a physical enterprise.
That is a crucial developmental milestone. In 2024, she achieved this major accomplishment of opening her own business, Blossom the Beauty Lounge.
And the location is important, right? It was in Zapopan.
A highly commercial and affluent part of the Guadalajara metropolitan area. This move signaled a significant shift. She was no longer just a digital content creator. She was an employer, a landlord, and a figure rooted in the local community and economy.
And the brand identity of the salon itself, it projected positivity and self-empowerment. The sources note the salon's slogan was,
"There is no better treatment than the time you dedicate to yourself."
it shows she cultivated a persona based on self-care and positivity, which makes the brutal, violent end she met a profound contradiction to everything she stood for publicly.
This entrepreneurial step, however, it's a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, while it cemented her financial independence and her success, it also gave her a fixed physical location.
A target.
Exactly. A digital presence can be elusive. A beauty lounge in a specific town makes you an immediate, easy-to-track target. That transition from ephemeral digital fame to a fixed physical presence likely increased her vulnerability exponentially.
So we know who she was. A highly successful young entrepreneur rooted in the digital world but anchored to a physical location in a high-risk area. Let's zero in on the sequence of events of May 13th, 2025, the day everything changed.
We need to look closely at the lead-up, because our sources indicate Valeria was already sensing danger, even while she was engaging with her audience.
That day didn't start with violence, but the atmosphere was already heavy with apprehension.
It was. The setting for the stream was designed to be routine. Her salon in the afternoon, holding those symbols of normalcy, the pig toy and the Starbucks bag. She intended it to be light.
But the routine was profoundly disrupted by a precursor incident earlier that day, a massive red flag that she actually chose to share with her digital community.
Yes, this is the critical detail. While she was away from the salon earlier on the 13th, two men on a motorcycle had already paid a highly suspicious visit.
And the claim they made, it was designed to demand her personal presence.
It was. They stated they had an expensive gift that needed to be delivered directly and personally to Valeria.
That immediately suggests surveillance and deliberate intimidation. I mean, think about the logistics. Why send an expensive gift via two men on a motorcycle? That's a vehicle universally associated with tactical movement and quick, often criminal, evasion.
This is not the standard delivery method for a luxury item from a brand. It's a probe.
It absolutely is a probe. It's designed to determine her schedule, her location, and whether or not she was alone.
And Valeria processed that danger in real time. But what's particularly fascinating here is the choice she made. Instead of immediately contacting local authorities,
Which you'd think would be the first step.
you would. Instead, she expressed her fear and unease directly to her thousands of viewers on the live stream.
The sources, understandably, they note a variation in the exact quotes given the speed of everything, but the core worry was crystal clear.
Yeah, she reportedly said things suggesting an imminent threat, comments like, "They're coming." Or she was openly speculating that the men might intend harm.
This action, it reveals a profound breakdown in trust in official state protection.
I think so. She effectively sought protection, or perhaps just validation from her digital community. She was performing a live, public confession of her fear, allowing her digital audience to stand in for the institutional safety net that she perhaps felt was inadequate or just untrustworthy in Jalisco.
It creates this almost unbearable sense of dreadful foreshadowing. She was continuing her job, the performance, the connection, while simultaneously dealing with a terrifying, immediate, real-world threat that was literally maneuvering into position.
The digital stage did not shield her at all. In the end, it just amplified her final moments of terror.
So now we arrive at the fatal sequence, and here's where the conversation just turns heartbreaking and shows the chilling, almost clinical efficiency of the attack.
The transition from casual conversation to mortal violence was shockingly rapid. It indicates a pre-planned operation executed by professionals who knew exactly what they were doing and, more importantly, who they were targeting.
The fatal interruption begins when the doorbell rings during the ongoing broadcast. The audio captures the sound.
And then the brief yet critical exchange that confirms her identity. A man's voice asks the question, "Hi, are you Valeria?"
And she replies, yes.
That simple confirmation, caught live, was the final piece of intelligence the killer needed.
The killer's method, it confirms the professionalism, as you said. Our sources describe a masked man entering, posing as a delivery person.
It's a classic tactic. It's used by contract killers. The disguise is designed to lower the victim's guard, facilitate access, and ensure the operative can get close enough to make the strike lethal.
And then, without any warning, the violence begins. The sources are precise about the lethality of it.
Yes. The killer shot her multiple times, in the chest, the head, and the torso. Valeria collapsed immediately and died on the spot.
The number of shots and the targeting of vital areas, those are hallmarks of an execution-style killing.
Absolutely. This was meant to ensure immediate lethality, leaving no chance for survival. This detail, far more than the initial rumors, strongly supports the theory that this was a professional hit ordered by someone with significant resources and a clear intent to send a message.
And the public horror, of course, was captured by the broadcast itself. The live stream recorded the entire event, the gunfire, the immediate screaming of employees and those nearby.
And then a profound, terrifying silence.
But the truly chilling conclusion for many viewers didn't come with the final sound of the gun.
No, it came moments later. An employee, faced with this incomprehensible tragedy, picks up the phone, the very device hosting the live stream, and calmly ends the broadcast.
That act, while totally necessary to stop the stream of violence, it adds this eerie layer of technical formality to the chaos.
It's like a desperate final attempt to restore some kind of dignity or control after absolute violation.
And the killer's exit was as efficient as the entrance. The sources note the killer fled quickly on a waiting motorcycle. This detail is not incidental.
Not at all. It is, as our sources point out, a common, almost textbook tactic for hired assassins or sicarios in Mexico.
Let's just pause on the significance of the motorcycle for a second. It's a key signature.
It provides incredible speed and maneuverability. It allows the assassin to weave through traffic and just quickly disappear into the dense urban landscape of Zapopan, making immediate apprehension extremely difficult.
It signals planning, resources, and a complete disregard for capture. This was not a crime of opportunity.
No, this was a targeted operation from start to finish.
So if we connect this event to the bigger picture, the digital nature of the crime it magnified the reaction immensely. It transformed what would have been a high-profile local murder into a truly global event in a matter of minutes.
The viral shockwave was unprecedented. Despite TikTok's rapid response, and they did move quickly, they removed Valeria's account, which is standard protocol for severe violence.
It was too late. The clips and fragments had already been screen recorded, shared, and recirculated millions of times.
This content, the raw, unedited footage of a death, instantly flooded the entire digital ecosystem.
Millions viewed the fragments online. The global outrage was immediate and massive. It led to the hashtag Justiciapera Valeria trending worldwide.
And for the authorities in Jalisco, this instantaneous digital scrutiny meant they were no longer just investigating a local crime.
No, they were under the microscope of international public opinion, and everyone was demanding immediate resolution.
The public response in Guadalajara, it reflected the emotional weight of the loss of a young, successful entrepreneur. Flowers, candles, tributes. They all accumulated outside Blossom, the beauty lounge. It was a physical manifestation of the grief felt by her dedicated followers.
And yet we see this disturbing continuation of malice that I think speaks volumes about the nature of the people possibly involved.
The grave.
Yeah, our sources note a deeply unsettling detail. Her grave was later vandalized.
And that's not simply random disrespect. This is an aggressive act. It's potentially designed to silence lingering discussion, to further intimidate the family and the community, or simply to assert continued power even after the initial crime is done.
The official response, however, it started pretty decisively. Jalisco authorities immediately classified the case as a femicide.
Which is a crucial legal term in Mexico. It signifies the gender-motivated killing of a woman. And this classification is vital because, legally, it triggers investigations under special, often more rigorous and politically sensitive protocols. It's aimed at acknowledging and combating systemic violence against women.
And the political reaction confirmed the magnitude of the crime. President Claudia Sheinbaum offered condolences and significantly involved the National Security Cabinet.
That level of involvement is reserved for cases that threaten social stability or the national image. It signals that the federal government was highly aware of the international scrutiny the crime attracted.
Especially concerning violence against women.
Precisely. Initial police action followed the necessary investigative pathways. They reviewed extensive CCTV footage around Zapopan. They dove deep into her social media accounts to search for potential threats.
And they interviewed over 30 people from Valeria's large social and professional circle.
The autopsy, predictably, confirmed the immediate cause of death by multiple gunshot wounds.
But the investigators, they face a major hurdle right from the start.
Yeah, the source material indicates no prior threats had been officially reported to authorities.
So if the motorcycle men were a threat, and Valeria clearly feared they were, she had only shared that fear publicly on a live stream, not through official channels.
And that absence of a formal paper trail, it really complicates the initial evidence collection and risk assessment. It often leads to much slower progress.
So this is a segment where the narrative pivots, and it pivots dramatically. It moves from this localized tragedy to the overarching geopolitical context that immediately complicated the investigation.
The location. Zapopan and Jalisco, it instantly brings powerful cartel theories into play.
We have to remember the geography here. Zapopan is a key municipality within the metropolitan area of Guadalajara, a region globally recognized as the stronghold of the formidable Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG.
It is impossible to discuss a high-profile professional assassination, a Sicario hit in this territory, without immediately considering the shadow of the CJNG.
And the speculation regarding cartel links, it ran wild almost immediately. It was fueled by the professional nature of the attack and just the sheer success Valeria had achieved.
Right. Rumors started circulating linking Valeria to powerful cartel figures. The suggested motives ranged from simple jealousy over expensive gifts she may have received,
Which is a common currency in those circles.
to a more direct motive involving a past romantic relationship with an operative.
And in a state where organized crime permeates the economy and society, these rumors, they quickly take on the weight of fact. They often create their own self-fulfilling prophecy of fear.
But then in June 2025, the theories ceased being mere rumor. They became a matter of international diplomacy and hard intelligence.
This is where the international intervention became explosive. A major development occurred when the U.S. Treasury Department stepped in.
They were operating under the authority granted by sanctions programs aimed at disrupting the financial networks of foreign crime leaders.
And the U.S. government made a shocking and very specific public accusation.
Incredibly specific. The sanctions explicitly named a high-ranking CJNG commander, Ricardo Ruiz Velasco.
Known by his aliases El Trupa, or simply RR.
And the U.S. Treasury Department identified him, publicly and officially, as the prime suspect in Valeria's murder.
This is a monumental accusation. I mean, to understand the gravity of this, we have to remember what U.S. Treasury sanctions actually entail.
They're a powerful financial weapon. They're designed to freeze assets and block transactions, effectively cutting the named individual off from the U.S. financial system and really global partners.
So this isn't just a police tip. This is a formalized intelligence designation, leveraging the entire economic power of the U.S. government.
Furthermore, the official U.S. government description provided a clear motive that connected the crime to organized violence and gender motivation.
They alleged that Valeria was Ruiz Velasco's former romantic partner.
Exactly. The sanctions explicitly highlighted CJNG's pervasive and brutal violence and specifically noted their involvement in femicides as part of their strategy of control and terror.
And yet, this raises an absolutely critical and deeply troubling question about accountability and local power structures.
The contradiction?
The contradiction. Why did Jalisco prosecutors deny any confirmed cartel link or evidence tying Ruiz Velasco to the case at that time? This is the core dilemma for anyone trying to understand the facts of this case.
That contradiction, it speaks volumes about the reality of power in Jalisco. You have the U.S. government using its intelligence and financial resources, publicly naming a high-value target as the murderer.
And then you have the local state prosecutors, the people directly responsible for investigating the crime-issuing denials, or, at minimum, expressing intense skepticism about the confirmed link. What are the implications of that denial? It could suggest genuine jurisdictional friction.
Right. Perhaps the local police lacked the hard evidence required for an arrest under Mexican law, while the U.S. was relying on intelligence that might not be admissible in court. Or, conversely, it could point to a more terrifying reality: local infiltration, intimidation, or just a lack of political will to pursue a high-ranking CJNG commander in their own territory.
When the threat is that powerful, local authorities often face paralyzing choices regarding their own safety and their operational capacity.
So this public contradiction, international accusation versus local denial, effectively stalled justice.
And the status of the case by late 2025 remained tragically stagnant for her family and her followers.
Despite that high-level international accusation, no arrests were made related to the specific named suspect. The investigation remained officially open, but effectively it was unresolved.
And we can't forget the wider context of the day itself. The sources note that the same day Valeria was killed, a former politician was murdered nearby.
This convergence of high-profile violence is not a coincidence. It fueled the cartel theories, suggesting a coordinated campaign or at least an operating environment of extreme volatility orchestrated by powerful interests. Valeria's murder was perhaps just one piece in a much larger puzzle of violence.
So let's take that crucial step back. Valeria's murder is not just an isolated, sensational true crime story. It is a profound public illustration of systemic issues that define the dangers faced by women in Mexico and the failure of institutions to protect them.
Precisely. If we look at the broader context, we have to connect this one individual tragedy to the horrific national wave of violence against women in Mexico. This is a recognized national crisis.
The statistic provides the chilling backdrop.
It does. Around 10 femicides occur daily. Valeria's case, because of its visibility, simply brought a daily, unquantifiable tragedy into sharp global focus.
And her case so powerfully highlighted the increasing, yet often misunderstood, dangers associated with achieving high online fame, especially for young women operating in high-risk zones.
Her success, the visibility, the luxury brand collaborations, the public persona of affluence, it made her an attractive data point, which in turn made her a target.
The core lesson here is just chillingly clear. The boundary between a carefully curated, aspirational digital life, the beauty tips and the pink stuff pigs, and severe physical, real-world threats has been completely erased.
When a young woman achieves that level of public visibility and financial success, she risks attracting the attention of powerful, dangerous men who view success and female independence as something to be controlled or, frankly, owned.
This concept of possessiveness becomes crucial if we accept the U.S. Treasury's assertion that she was the former romantic partner of a major cartel commander.
If that's true, her murder wasn't just a crime, it was an act of extreme public possessive violence designed to serve as a warning.
And the fact that her death was broadcast live amplified that message of control to every follower, every local community member, and every rival.
And the immediate media context, it confirms the global significance of this. This case was instantly categorized as the definitive example of the rise of social media murders.
It was quickly integrated into true crime series that specifically examined this new digital age vulnerability like deadly influence, the social media murders.
Valeria's story became shorthand for the worst possible outcome of digital celebrity in a volatile region.
So, as we synthesize the facts of this deeply unsettling case, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've reviewed the vibrant life of a young entrepreneur who built a successful bridge between the digital and physical worlds,
We've covered the global horror of her death being broadcast live.
and the profoundly unresolved investigation shadowed by international accusations and these stubborn local denials.
The profound tragedy here? It lies in the systemic layers of failure and terror that envelop her death. Her fear was publicly voiced, the attack was broadcast to millions.
And yet, a massive international intervention naming a specific high-level suspect has failed to produce a confirmed local arrest or a successful prosecution by the end of 2025.
That persistent lack of accountability is arguably the darkest insight this case provides into the dynamics of power and crime in regions dominated by cartels.
We must ensure the focus remains respectfully on Atsiri Valeria Márquez Lopez, a life full of potential, brutally cut short by senseless violence.
Her story stands as a tragic, undeniable warning about the intense perils that can accompany high online visibility, particularly for successful young women who operate in regions afflicted by the constant threat of organized crime.
The influence she successfully wielded in her digital life, the very mechanism she used to build her success, ultimately offered her no shield against the real-world danger that was meticulously planning its arrival at her door.
It's a devastating conclusion.
And for your final, provocative closing thought, something to consider or explore further that builds directly on this complex source material. We've established that Valeria's murder was instantly globalized because it was broadcast live. Does this instant mass viewership truly lead to greater, faster accountability and a more effective pursuit of justice?
Or does it simply transform profound tragedy into a paralyzing international spectacle? One that ultimately complicates the search for justice when powerful interests, like global cartels, are able to exert control over local institutions.
A difficult question with no easy answer.
We encourage you to keep learning, keep asking those difficult questions about the relationship between power and publicity, and stay safe.
That's our deep dive for today.